next natural question here is who experiences the problem most acutely? You want to make whatever your tech is a relief to the buyer. And in order to do that, you need to ask these three questions. Who experiences the problem most acutely? Who has the most pain? Okay. Who would pay the most to solve it if only they knew about your tech existing? And who do you have the most credibility with? So once you're thinking about those things, it will help you reduce your ideal customer profile to a size that really makes sense. Now, this is really hard to do because especially founders, when you're thinking about the total addressable market, and you're thinking about all the people out there, let's say in the United States, that should and could use your product, it is a really big number. TAM, total addressable market, is a really big number. And you start dreaming about it, and it keeps the dream alive when you're doing all this building and dev work that you don't, it's like so grindy. Okay. It keeps the dream alive thinking about that big, big TAM. But when it's time to go to market, you need to narrow it to a pinpoint. If the TAM is this, you need to narrow it to a tiny, tiny pinpoint. And in order to do that, you need to think through these three questions. Okay, so in the materials for this, I had an example of going from 8 million to 50 million in 12 months. Brandon Smith on my team recently did that with a fintech company. So I'm just going to let him talk about how you narrow that ICP and what you should think about.
Wasted. And the most important thing is to make sure we're targeting the right triggers. It's not just about brand awareness. This is real money. So we need to get that ROI immediately. So the truth of the source, find the people with the problem. Talk about the actual risk and make sure you're touching the right people that are really in the weeds at the moment. And what I was really capable of or able to do with my awesome team is really target the right people who have the right problems at the right time.
Yep, that's it. That's it. Easier said than done. That's for sure. So how do you think about this? Okay. If your ICP is too large, like somebody recently told me, we help small and mid-sized businesses. And I said, that's too large. You got to drill down. Okay. So think about firmographics and psychographics. This is typical. If you're going to do a drill down, that's pretty typical. So I'm not going to go over it. Think about buying trigger. This is the moment that they are most likely to say yes to your tech. What moment is that? Is that when they're spinning up their first cluster? Is that when is that? Like, even if your buyer is not technical, you got to know, is it when their first kid goes to school? Is it when they're, think about the life moments and for your specific buyer. Okay. Acute pain, begging to buy. This is my favorite phrase to say, probably so much people get annoyed about it. But when people say, oh, my ICP is this, I say, okay, that's fine. But who is begging to buy? And is that list like something under 2,000 people? Because that's really specific and you can really go after that. You can do hyper-focused targeting with ads if you know that type of specific detail. Okay. Economic stakeholders. So when you're doing B2B, who's doing B2B here? Raise your hand. Are we all B2B? No. Okay. We've got two. Oh, I see two, at least three B2C. When you're doing B2B, you're going to need to know the economic stakeholders. So, if IT is going to block adoption, they're a blocker, and you better have your marketing and your go-to-market together and serving them as well as the CEO, for example. If you're direct to consumer, they also have stakeholders. If this is a product the husband really wants, you better have the wife's sign off, and you become prepared with that value story so that whoever could be a blocker is going to sign off. Okay. So that is the drill down on your ideal customer profile. And typically it's way, way, way too large. Channels, after you know who this person is so specifically, and you've got all four of these, knowing where they hang out, whether it's on Reddit or X or Facebook or LinkedIn, is really easy. The channels become easy.